At age 5, Chris Ryall knew he loved comics, and one in particular.
I was drawn to this old Fantastic Four comic, issue 130, because it had the Fantastic Four and the Frightful Four. So there's like 8 colorful characters on the cover, all fighting, and completely and utterly captivated by that.
So captivated that he stole it from his neighbor.
So I was either heading toward a career in comics or a life of crime.
He took the path towards comics, and now revels in creating books that tap into the things he loved as a kid.
With Abrams Comic Arts, I did this book on these old Marvel calendars, and they were so unique. Every square of each month was designed. Those things have largely never been collected, never represented. And then with Simon & Schuster, they're bringing back the Fireside line of books. The first one was Origins of Marvel Comics. The real distinction of that book is it was the first Marvel book and one of the very first graphic novels to ever get into bookstores and libraries. It's hard to fathom now, but if you were a kid in the mid-70s and you went to a bookstore, there was no comic material at all. So this is artist Alex Ross's recreation for the deluxe edition. And you see, like in the original, it just had Stan Lee's hands at the typewriter. I thought Alex's sort of subtle but direct way of acknowledging Jack Kirby and Steve Ditko by bringing their hands into the same thing, showing that no, there was no one person involved, but there was a team involved.
Scott Dunbier also fell in love with comics as a kid and with its potential.
In a comic book, the sky's the limit. You can do anything you want, and it's almost a magical art form.
Comics can imagine the most fantastical things, create vivid characters, or even be used for social good. Dunbier's Comics for Ukraine has raised money to help refugees.
That was a book that I felt I had to do.
One of its stories is up for a Comic-Con Eisner Award this Friday. Ryall also loves the possibilities the medium presents.
I love the way art and words all work together in tandem to create a story, sort of the excitement you feel almost every single page being like its own little mini story where you get to the bottom of that page and hopefully it's compelling enough that you want to turn the page. And so every page of a comic can be that way if it's done effectively.
Dunbier collects pages of original comic art, which led him to create gorgeous artist edition books while he worked at IDW, a San Diego-based publisher.
I love comic storytelling, but I always edged more towards the art. I can't read a comic with bad art.
At his Comic-Con panel, Dunbier will be announcing the start of his new company.
Act 4 Publishing, because Act 1 was art dealing, the second act was Wildstorm, third act IDW, and now this is the fourth act.
A new company, but he'll still be following his passion for original art with more artist edition books, which he'll be discussing at his panel.
We haven't announced it yet, but we're going to be giving away artist edition bookmarks. Dave Stevens' The Rocketeer, Joe Kubert's Tarzan, an EC science fiction page, and Will Eisner's The Spirit. And since they're bookmarks for artist editions, of course they're gigantic. These are actually 4 by 16 inches.
Ryall will be on multiple panels to discuss a variety of projects, but he's also working on a graphic novel film adaptation.
It started with a complete out-of-the-blue email from Francis Coppola saying, hey, I want to make a graphic novel based around Megalopolis, and I'm told you're the one who can help me with that. Is that true? And first you're like, I don't know if this is real, but your response, like my response always to these things is, yes, Francis Coppola, I am the right one who can do that.
And he was delighted to discover Coppola is a comics fan.
He cited a character called the Heap, which is like a precursor to Swamp Thing and Man Thing. And like nobody mentions the Heap unless they're legit, unless they know comics. And so it's fun when you can find that common ground, that common comic book language to talk about, even with people that have never otherwise dabbled in the space before. So it's been a blast. Like it's been just the most like exhilarating, creatively inventive thing. I've loved every bit of it.
Who'd have thought stealing a comic book at 5 could lead to all this? Now we can wait in eager anticipation to see what the next page turn will reveal in their careers. Beth Accomando, KPBS News.